It's with great pleasure and immense joy that I extend my sincerest greetings to all the distinguished guests, both gracing this esteemed gathering and accompanying us virtually, as we convene for the highly anticipated and illustrious inauguration of the 20th Anniversary Globelics International Conference 2023, an event that is truly an embodiment of intellectual enrichment, enlightening experiences, and unity across borders. As we gather here today, we find amongst us a shining galaxy of illustrious personas hailing from across the globe, each unparalleled in their respective domains. Their gracious presence breathes life into this glorious Globelics event, which has made its triumphant return to India after an interlude of nearly 17 years. With Kerala poised on the cusp of transforming into a thriving knowledge-based economy, the timing and locale of this grand event could not be more opportune and perfect. To set the stage for the inaugural function, we are honored to invite Professor K.J. Joseph, the esteemed Director of GIFT and Secretary General of Globelics, to extend a heartfelt and warm welcome to everyone present here.
Honorable Chief Minister of Kerala, Sri Pinarayi Vijayan, Honorable Finance Minister and the Chairperson of Gulati Institute of Finance and Taxation, Sri K.N. Balagopal, President of Global Network on the Economics of Learning, Innovation and Competence Building System, that is Globelics, Professor Erika Kramer, Professor V.K. Ramachandran, the Vice Chairperson of Kerala State Planning Board, who will be joining us online, Professor K.M. Abraham, who is the in-country steering committee chairperson and who really wanted to be here, but due to unexpected commitments, he had to make a change in the last minute. Professor Sachin Chaturvedi, Director General of RIS, Professor Rishikesha T. Krishnan, the Director of IAM, the governing body members of Gulati Institute of Finance and Taxation, the scientific committee members of Globelics community, and the delegates from different parts of the world, the friends of GIFT, and more importantly, I also note the presence of Professor Bendoke Lundwal, the founder of Globelics, Professor Luke Sute, one of the founding members of Gulati Globelics, and Professor Judith Satz, the former president of Globelics, and also Professor T.M. Thomas Isaac, who will be talking in the next session, and of course, the wonderful friends of gift, my beloved colleagues and students, ladies and gentlemen. It goes without saying that we are today living in a highly difficult and challenging world. There are problems that are specific to developed economies and also specific to developing countries. And there are problems of importance at the national and subnational levels. At the same time, we are living in a world wherein there is enormous faith in the capability of science, technology, and innovation to address these problems. And more importantly, harnessing the powers of knowledge towards addressing development problems. At the same time, we know that we are living in a world of digital monopolies and global finance capital behaving in a manner in which is not acceptable to many of the developing countries. And at the national level, we have been making concerted efforts towards harnessing information technology and other knowledge and innovation in general for addressing the development problems in the country. And we have seen Kerala and seen the manner in which India articulated more effectively than ever before the aspirations of the global south in the recently and in the G20 while we are holding the G20 presidency. And as far as Kerala is concerned, we have articulated more unequivocally the role of science and technology, and more importantly, we have highlighted the relevance of transforming Kerala to a knowledge economy under the able leadership of our Honorable Chief Minister. And it is in this context that Globelics is revisiting in India after 17 years, as rightly said by Riju. Without much ado, let me get into my present job of welcoming all of you. To begin with, we have our Honorable Chief Minister, Sri Pinarayi Vijayan, and we have the invisible hand of Sri Pinarayi Vijayan in all our important initiatives. And for the people from outside the Kerala, you are aware that Kerala has been ruled by UDF and LDF alternatively, and he has made history when under his leadership, because thanks to the enormous initiative that he has made, the left government came back to power for the second time in a consecutive manner 2.5 years ago. And sir, we are extremely thankful to you for sparing time out of your otherwise busy schedule for being with us, and with great appreciation for all your commitment and all your wonderful initiatives for addressing the problems of the state. We welcome you on behalf of all of us. We have with us Sri K.N. Balagopal, the Honorable Finance Minister of Kerala, and also our chairperson. You may be knowing that this conference, unlike many other conferences that you see elsewhere, has been announced by Sri Honorable Finance Minister Sri K.N. Balagopal in his previous budget for the budget for the year 2003-2004. And this is quite clearly an indication of how emphatically he importance to and how he has been pursuing the agenda of transforming Kerala to a knowledge economy. On behalf of all of us, let us welcome Sri K.N. Balagopal. Professor Erika Kramer, I'm sorry to call by first name. Professor Erika Kramer, the president of Globelics, no formal welcome. It is, after all, it is her effort. And but at the same time, it's important that as the chief guest, we formally welcome Professor Erika Kramer to this august audience. Okay. You know, Professor V.K. Ramachandran, the vice chairperson of Kerala State Planning Board, and also one of the important governing body members of Gujarati Institute of Finance and Taxation, is with us in all our academic pursuits. And he wanted really to be with us, but totally unexpected reasons, he was forced to join us online. Professor V.K. Ramachandran, on behalf of all of us, online and offline, we are welcoming you to this August gathering. Professor Sachin Chaturvedi is the Director General of Research and Information System for Developing Countries. And RIS New Delhi is the think tank of the Ministry of External Affairs. I think the manner in which Professor Sachin Chaturvedi has supported Globelics, particularly the India chapter of Globelics India Leagues, in many different ways. And when we mooted the idea of organizing it, he came forward with supports in many different ways. I must say that many of you who are here would not have been here without his support through the Ministry of External Affairs for getting a timely political clearance and all other help on behalf of all of us. Professor Sachin Chaturvedi, you are welcome to this one. Professor Rishikesh Krishnan, presently the director of IIM Bangalore, is perhaps the oldest member of Globelics community, because he was the first one from India to represent India in the first Globelics International Conference in 2003. And when 2006, when actually it was Professor Rishikesh Krishnan and I organized the first Globelics International Conference in 2006. And now he is the director of IIM Bangalore. When I mooted this idea, he wholeheartedly supported it. And on a daily basis, he has been monitoring the progress and made a visit in between to see how we are progressing. Sir, you could not have shown more interest. And we are in the coming sessions, we are going to have address by our very fond founder, Professor Benda Kilundwal. Professor Benda Kilundwal is online, and I warmly welcome Professor Benda Kilundwal, who is the founder and was built up this network in a truly global network with a very different culture of a friendliness. I don't want to elaborate on that. I welcome Professor Kilundwal. We have Professor Luke Sute, one of the founding members, and also Professor Judith Satz, Luke Sute from UNU Merit, Professor Judith from Uruguay. She is the former president, and both of them will be addressing us in the next session. I welcome both of them to this conference. We also have with us Professor T.M. Thomas Isaac. I would like rightly calling him as the champion of the cause of transforming Kerala to a knowledge economy. Sir, you have put your this agenda set rolling through your budget in 2021-22, and the Globelics community came and provided you input and feedback. We welcome you on behalf of all of us here. I have a large number of people to I don't want to kind of individually call. I welcome all the partnering institutions, all the co-organizing institutions. They have been highly helpful in many different ways. And I welcome all of them, all the representatives of the institutions for this conference. Finally, you, the delegates, you have traveled, some of them traveled 24 hours and beyond. And some of them traveled short distance. Some of them have not left for many days. And still you are all finding very, very vibrant and bright. It's all because of your commitment to academic pursuit. And more importantly, I'm very happy to note that 17 of you are going to different colleges and all the universities in Kerala and share your expertise and interact with scholars over there. I welcome each one of you wholeheartedly on behalf of the audience over here. There is nothing like final. And all others, particularly my colleagues, they worked very hard. And my students, they could not have worked harder. And the friends of gift. And I know that I must have left some wonderful people in welcoming, but they all know that they are close to my heart. I welcome all of you. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, let us look forward to a very positive and highly enlightening outcome from this conference. Thank you very much.
Our deepest gratitude to you, sir. We're now privileged to invite the distinguished.
Yeah. Since our honorable Chief Minister, has many other programs, we will invite Honorable Chief Minister with a lot of affection, appreciation, and great respect to address the audience and inaugurate this conference.
Distinguished guests, sisters and brothers, it is a matter of immense joy and pride to speak at this 20th anniversary International Conference of Globelics on innovation-driven knowledge, economies, and transformation in the Global South. Over the last 2 decades, this global research network has made seminal contributions in analyzing the role of innovations and innovation systems in the development, especially with regard to industry of various countries. And as far as Kerala is concerned, we have recently embarked on a journey of transforming ourselves into a knowledge economy and innovation-driven society. Therefore, we are glad that this conference is being held in our state at this juncture. I understand that scholars from about 50 countries will be presenting their research outcomes in this conference, of whom scholars from 38 countries are physically present here. It is heartening that some of the scholars here will be visiting our various universities and colleges to share your insights with our upcoming generations as well. At the outset, let me warmly welcome you all to our beautiful state. I hope that you will have a fruitful time here, marked by intense debates and enlightening discussions. I am sure that Kerala stands to gain immensely from the proceedings of this conference. Let me make note of the fact that several institutions from around the country have joined hands together with the Gulati Institute of Finance and Taxation in organizing this conference. On behalf of the government of Kerala, I congratulate you all on taking up this colossal task. There is a saying in Malayalam that goes like this: Vidyadhanam Sarvadhanal Pradhanam. It means the wealth of education is more important than all other wealth. To me, this is the fundamental idea on the basis of which the Globelics network and the state of Kerala have common grounds. You give predominance to learning through interactions between individuals and institutions within a country and between countries. Kerala also has a rich tradition of interactions and discourses that has enabled us as a society to learn from one another. It is on the basis of that collective learning that we have been able to create the globally acclaimed Kerala model of development. Among other factors, this too has played a pivotal role in making Kerala what it is today. It enabled us to achieve human development at par with the developed world in several indices, despite having very low levels of per capita income. The foundations for that model have been laid by multiple interventions over time. Our Renaissance movements, progressive campaigns, struggles by agriculture workers and laborers, alternative policies by people's governments, including the likes of literacy campaign, decentralization, and people's planning, women's empowerment and poverty eradication program, etc., have all enabled this enviable model to emerge and flourish. Apart from being the best in the country in health and education, Currently, Kerala tops the Indian states in terms of the achievement of SDGs. Our performance in terms of eradicating poverty is unmatched. We are the major source of skilled manpower for other Indian states and foreign countries. Recently, our startup ecosystem has attracted much national and global acclaim. However, we have the major challenge of creating vibrancy in the productive sectors of our economy so that more employment and income earning opportunities are generated within the state for our youngsters. We firmly believe that the only way out is to harness science, technology, innovation, and the creation and dissemination of knowledge in general. As I had mentioned in the beginning, we are transforming Kerala along those lines. We are making sure that sectors like higher education and industry develop organic links so that we can harness the power of our young minds to find lasting solutions to the issues that our society faces. To us, this conference is also a key initiative in that regard. As part of finding solutions, we are ensuring that our entire society is connected to the global information highway so that ideas can be freely assimilated and disseminated. To enable that, we declared access to internet as a right to our citizens and established the Kerala Fiber Optic Network. This network ensures that all can enjoy the right to internet, overcoming the barriers imposed by physical, social, regional, or financial factors. It is at another first of its kind experiment in our country. There are several such interventions from the global south that have become models to the world. However, the prevalent information asymmetry in the current world order often serves as impediments to propagating and popularizing such models. Therefore, I hope that this conference will also deliberate on the interventions that need to be made to ensure that such models are heard and seen more than they are now. With these words, I declare the 20th anniversary Globelics International Conference inaugurated. Thank you.
We wholeheartedly extend our gratitude once again to our Honorable Chief Minister, Sri Pinarayi Vijayan, for honoring this event with his distinguished presence and consistently offering unwavering support in all our pursuits. Thank you, sir. We are now privileged to invite the distinguished chair of the event, Sri K.N. Balagopal, the Honorable Finance Minister of Government of Kerala and Chairperson of GIFT, to share his insightful words with us.
Very respected Chief Minister of Kerala, who left just now, Sri Pinarayi Vijayan, the Director of GIFT, Professor K.J. Joseph, Professor Erika Kramer, Sri V.K. Ramachandran, Sri K.M. Abraham, Sri Amitabh Kant, he is also expected online, Professor Sachin Chaturvedi, Professor Rishikesh Krishnan and Kiran Kumar, and Dr. Thomas Isaac, and many other dignitaries are here, and my dear delegates. I'm very happy to be here, and and it's an occasion of happiness that this 20th Globelics is happening here. It is also a matter of great satisfaction that this important international event is a collective effort of a number of institutions in Kerala and outside Kerala. As I understand, Globelics is international network of scholars have been contributing substantially towards. I am also inclined to believe that the theme selected for this international conference, innovation-driven knowledge economies and transformation in the global south, is a matter of much contemporary relevance. The issue is important at the global level, at the national level, and more importantly for the state of Kerala. Honorable CM, in his inaugural speech, mentioned some of the decisions and some of the instances of the knowledge economy initiatives which we are going through. When we reflect on this issue at the global level, you are all aware that science and technology and innovations is an area in which the countries across the world for competing among each other. And the global finance capital and the digital monopolies are becoming more powerful than ever before. At the national level, as you are aware, India is one of the pioneering countries in the developing world that recognize the key role of science, technology, and innovation in addressing the basic development problems of poverty and employment, illiteracy, among others. India has been successful in building up a network of institutions, not only for develop the development of science and technology, but also its use in various sectors. We indeed have had rich dividends to such initiatives. This was evident notably in the emergence of India as a major software exporter in the early part of this century. We have seen our success in developing indigenous vaccines for fighting COVID. More importantly, is our success with Chandrayaan. When it comes to Kerala, we have not been lagging behind. To my mind, innovation was at the root of Kerala model of development. This would attribute as a combined outcome of science and technology innovation with social sector innovations. While we have much to claim in various spheres of social sector development, there are a number of challenges: lack of vibrancy in the production sector of the economy, unemployment, and other related issues. Our strategy towards addressing some of these major challenges has been transformed in Kerala to a knowledge economy. In this direction, we have been investing substantially in the building up of IT infrastructure, revamping our higher education sector, especially providing the hostel facilities for international students, and above all, making a vibrant innovation system. There are a number of new initiatives in the state. The flagship Young Innovators Program, YIP, launched by the Honorable Chief Minister in 2023 edition, has 169,000 students across the state. This year, the participation from government-supported schools have outnumbered private schools, and there are more girl ideators than boys. The Kerala Knowledge Economy Mission, KKEM, aims to create 20 lakh job opportunities in Kerala by 2026. The program aims at enhancing the employability of candidates in line with global trends by undertaking a massive coordinated skilling program to provide employment to the educated unemployed, career break women, and marginalized sections. More than 50,000 candidates have been provided employment in the recent initiative through this program. In the sphere of higher education, we made a number of initiatives to improve the academic infrastructure, especially hostels to the international students. All the universities in the states are provided with translation research center facilities. Through the budget. We provided adequate money for introducing translation research facilities in every university. We are proposing for startup initiatives and a new concept of industry in the campuses, right, related to the campus. These programs are also going on, and a lot of activities. And Kerala is getting awards related to the startup initiatives in the state. Among other states, we are getting the awards in the recent past. I am happy to report that Kerala is the first state in the country to come up with an R&D budget along with the general budget. In the last year, we introduced that system. R&D budget is also placed, so it will continue in the coming years. It was with a view to learn from the global experience in harnessing knowledge for development and the hurdles in transforming developing economies to knowledge economies that I have announced this international conference in my budget for the year 2023-24. Because this is an effort. This Gulati Institute is doing that. Dr. Joseph is also heading this institution, and continuously we were doing. And I'm very happy that CM also, Chief Minister also in his speech said that around 38 countries are there participating here, and academicians from different states are attending here, and the founder professor is also attending this. He is also going to speak in this session. So we are very happy. This part of the world, we are taking an initiative to bring all the academic excellent people here for discussing about the initiatives which we have to take for the future. So finally, I have to say that we are looking to this conference with much eagerness. What will be the outcome and suggestions of the conference? Because we are having a system of people who are imbibing the progressive ideas. And so we believe that this is an era of knowledge. Knowledge is always there, but the new kind of knowledge is to be used in a very big way. Everywhere we have to use that. And the ideas which are coming out from this very historic conference will provide more and more ideas to the state. And I hope surely this outcome will be useful for the state, not only for the state, for the entire world. And hoping that you will, while attending this conference here, all the friends who are coming from different parts of the world, we call this God's own country. Not only we, because God's own country is a tagline of tourism, advertisement, and editorial. But recently, New York Times, they selected 52 places to visit in the world. And out of the 52, one is Kerala. So you are here in Kerala. I think you will be happy in attending the conference. And with these words, I am concluding my speech. Thank you.
Sir, we wholeheartedly extend our deepest gratitude for gracing us with your esteemed presence and sharing a truly enlightening address with us. Now, may I graciously invite Professor Erika Kramer-Mbula, President of Globelics, to share her enlightening thoughts with us all.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests, honorable ministers and government representatives and friends from around the globe. I'm here today with a great sense of pride and gratitude to be part of this network, and also to have an opportunity to serve as part of the presidential team which is not only myself, but also our vice presidents, which are Marina Sapiro, Rasmus Lima, and Michiko Izuka, who are here in the room. So this is a team effort, as well as the Globelics scientific board. So I'm here representing and standing on behalf of everybody. But I do that with, as I mentioned, with pride and gratitude, and to be part of the network as we mark 2 decades of sustained dialogue, research and collaboration within Globelics. Our 20-year journey is not just a milestone, but also a testament of our dedication and commitment to understanding innovation and how it can serve the processes of development. And this is a contribution that has been done by every single person in this room, everybody that has been part and continues to be part of the network. The network started, and as it's been mentioned, by the vision and foresight of some pioneering intellectuals. Some of them are in this room, and others are online, and some others are in spirit. But some of them are Bentoke. I can see him in the screen now. Hi, Bentoke. There's also Luke, Judith Suits, Gabriela is here, Alex. There's too many to mention all of them, but you all know who you are, that contributed with the foundation of this network. And their vision was that they recognize learning as a universal process, and that interactive learning could be the source of solving problems in new ways. And they looked at the South for leadership, and they looked at the South for collaboration. And that was a necessary condition in their view to advance our understanding of how these processes of innovation and development interrelate in what they called innovation systems. So the vision was revolutionary at the time, and it's quite unique to this network, that dialogue between the South and the North that has informed our discussions and continues to inform those discussions. And it was revolutionary because it was at the time in a landscape where the scholarly contributions from the South were limited. And the South was seen from a very different lens. The landscape and the global dynamics and the distribution of capabilities in scholarship has also shifted over the past 20 years. And also other external things have changed. The dynamics of digital technologies, the presence of in their advanced forms, and AI, blockchain, technologies, Internet of Things, etc. But also the pressures on our natural environment have shifted, pressures on climate change, a global pandemic that we've just lived, and new health-related threats that are in the horizon, to the status of global geopolitics. Everything has shifted, and in this fast changing environment, Globelics has managed to remain a beacon of academic knowledge and leadership, bringing together scholars and policymakers and practitioners to navigate and to think about these complexities. It can be said that Globelics has made a unique contribution because of that origin of providing a platform for dialogue between the South and the North. And these events that we are living and that we continue to see in the horizon confirm the importance of this dialogue to be continued and to be nurtured. So as we reflect on our journey and evolve as a network, we remember our original preoccupation of understanding that knowledge, innovation, and competence building are essential in developing economies and societies, and to take us to a more equitable and a more sustainable and prosperous future. So this has always been the end goal, and it's always been reflected in how we treat the topics that are discussed in our conference, but also how we encourage the capacity building of younger scholars in this network. So in light of these new global challenges, our network has managed to remain relevant, and actually it's become more relevant than ever, I would say. Also a platform not only to discuss these ideas, but also to transform those ideas into policies and practices through this engagement with the policy community. the discourse to address climate change, the widening inequalities, ensuring that new technologies don't create more damage than good. All of that requires a discussion between the North and the South. So looking ahead, this event gives us a point of reflection after 20 years to look back to what we have achieved, the expertise that has been built within the network, the new scholars that have grown into the network and that continue to grow through the academies and other capacity building events, to be even more targeted in this monumental task that we have ahead of us, and increase our impact on society. I would like to thank the government of India, represented here by the Chief Minister, the Minister of Finance, the Vice Chairman of Kerala Planning Board, and other representatives, and particularly Professor Joseph and his team for hosting this important event. It's a very important event for the network to reflect, to have these 20 years of reflection. I attended the conference in Kerala in 2006, and actually it was the last time I was here. And I can see what innovation-driven development looks like just by arriving here and seeing the change, the amount of change and transformation that has happened in 17 years. When the conference was hosted, there was already discussions about the importance of innovation and knowledge. And this is a testament of what it means to walk the talk, really. So this is an ideal location for these discussions over the next 3 days. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to each one of you for being here, for traveling, for continuing to fuel these discussions, particularly to, as I mentioned, the presidential team, the Globelics Scientific Board, and everyone that has contributed to crafting the narrative of Globelics. And it's a changing narrative, it's a shifting narrative as we adapt and we evolve with the changes around us, but always remaining true to our original preoccupation that still remains extremely relevant. So our collective dedication and collaborative spirit have been the driving force behind the success and the impact of this network. And I would like to just encourage us and to if I had a glass, I will make a toast to many more years of collaboration and to the next 3 days of fruitful discussions and engagements over the rest of the week. Thank you very much.
We're truly honored by your presence, and thank you ever so much for enlightening us today, ma'am. I take great pleasure in inviting Professor V.K. Ramachandran, Vice Chairperson of the Kerala State Planning Board, to express his profound knowledge before this August gathering.
Can I be heard? Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairperson, colleagues, friends. I'm honored to greet this 20th anniversary conference of Globelics, which is being held, and greet all of you who are from outside the state to the state, to add my greetings to those of the Chief Minister and our Finance Minister and others. It's a particular interest to us that you have called this conference to, from your concept note, to reflect on issues involved in the process of transforming developing economies into sustainable, resilient, and inclusive, innovation-driven knowledge economies. This summarizes the core of the purpose of this conference. And in general, we know that the term knowledge societies seeks to describe capabilities to identify, produce, process, and of course, above all, use information and knowledge to build and apply knowledge-based schemes and programs for human development. It is in this spirit that the government of Kerala has approached the question of knowledge economies and on the building of a knowledge economy and a knowledge society in the state. We are the only state in India to have a planning process. We still have, unlike the other states of India, we do have a 5-year plan. And I think one of the core objectives of our plan is to ensure sustained efforts to apply science, technology, and cutting-edge skills, and the skills available to a knowledge economy, to enhance growth in agriculture, allied activities, modern industry, infrastructure building, and generally in income-bearing activities. This we are known internationally, and this has come up in your discussion in the Chief Minister's presentation as well, that we have been known for our achievements, particularly in school education and education as a whole, but school education particularly. We do feel that the achievement that we have gained in universalizing and improving the quality of school education in the state, referred to by the finance minister, must now also go over to the system of higher education. That kind of attention, that kind of growth must go to our higher and technical, different levels of tertiary education as well. And let me now just go a bit to that, rather than sticking, then sort of trying to be general, that our economic policy, attempting as it does to provide Kerala's youth with the best forms of employment available in a modern economy, is now trying to modernize and enhance the system of higher education towards that goal. And I believe that in any less developed country, that thrust, once we have achieved these foundational gains, as we have in universalizing and improving the quality of school education, we are ever more conscious of that higher education is vital to our society's efforts to furthering human capabilities and broad-basing them in the widest possible sense. So if we are to take Kerala to the next stage of social and economic development towards a knowledge society, improving the quality of higher education is an absolutely necessary condition for that transition. I think that while we have, of course, we are a more broad-based we have certain important achievements in higher education. Some of these were mentioned by the finance minister. Nevertheless, as he recognized, we have immense tasks ahead in this sphere. In the last budget, no, the first budget before last actually, despite the financial crunch that the state is facing, we made a conscious effort. The state budget actually increased spending on higher education by about 25%, which is more or less unprecedented, I think, in the states, among state budgets at that time. And we have been working on the government has been working on a series of programs and new ideas in this sphere. We have worked on programs to improve the quality of infrastructure in higher education, to encourage academic excellence in teaching and research and academic interaction with students and scholars in other parts of India and the world. Indeed, this meeting itself is an example of that kind of interaction. We've investing more in research activities in institutions of higher education. In India, there's often a separation between the process of higher research and research and the process of teaching in higher education. And we are trying to ensure adequate academic staffing, to develop a long-term perspective for cutting through red tape in academic administration. All of these are, problems which are which affect higher education and therefore the development of a knowledge society, I believe, in different parts of the world, particularly in less developed countries. But we are now identifying and trying to address each of these. There are two other points in this program that the government of Kerala is committed to in higher education. This is the first is to provide access, is to make it inclusive, to provide access to free or affordable higher education for the income poor and from students from social groups and regions that have historically been oppressed or excluded. The other is that our understanding is that the programs and schemes that are now being implemented in higher education should cover its whole range, including the natural sciences, social sciences, humanities, and technical and professional education. If these efforts are successful, and I believe that there is a great public support, there is the different elements of public action from below and above have come together in creating a public consensus around the importance of higher education for building a knowledge, for contributing to a knowledge society. I believe that we can make progress, and I look forward to learning from the deliberations of your conference on how a society such as ours can use the different, once we have made some achievements in secondary education, go on to develop a tertiary education system of the kind of excellence that will ensure further socioeconomic transformation and ensure the development of a knowledge society that leaves no one behind. Let me stop there and greet you once more. I'm really once again express my gratitude for having been called here, and I look forward to listening to the rest of the events of this this important conference. Thank you.
Our deepest gratitude for your time and insight, sir. It's my privilege to request the esteemed Dr. K.M. Abraham, Chairperson of KDISC, to enlighten us through an address. Sorry, he is not available at present, so we'll move on. Now let us all warmly welcome the distinguished Professor Sachin Chaturvedi, Director General RIS, to deliver a special address.
Thank you, Honorable Chief Minister, who delivered the inaugural address, Shri Vijayanji. We are privileged to have Honorable Finance Minister with us. Thanks, Shri K.N. Gopal. I think his address has already set the ball rolling in terms of how Kerala and the government of Kerala is looking at this conference. We just heard President Globelics, Erica, and also my dear friend KJ Joseph, who has shaped and has contributed immensely in terms of how Indian narrative on innovation is coming up. And I congratulate KJ and all our colleagues who have been very actively participating in Globelics. I also thank Mr. K.M. Abraham and Mr. Ramachandran, who just spoke to us for their joining in here. I also thank Professor Rishikesh Krishnan, Director IIM Bangalore, for being with us here, and Dr. Kiran Kumar, who is also here with us. I also acknowledge presence of Dr. Nagesh Kumar, my colleague at RIS earlier, who has been contributing in terms of how FDI and technology are interlinked and intertwined. And that's where I think a huge connect for Global South has largely been seen. But friends and colleagues, we have evolved the global South economy, and we have moved in direction where we need to understand how the institutional frameworks also play an important role when we look at the issue of innovation and economic progress. And that's where I think the mention that Honorable Finance Minister made is of great significance in terms of what Kerala is doing here with startups. And I think it is important for us, as we just now heard of tertiary education being interlinked with the idea of innovation system. I think it's the connect that we need in terms of startup and tertiary education. And that's where we realize the important role that incubators have been playing across, and trying to see how we tinker in innovation that is important. And that's what is going to take the idea forward in terms of how we are going to go, and how we are going to go in terms of both economic activity and the share that is needed. Very often when we think of Global South, the idea of techno-nationalism or home economics, as is being called, it comes in. The going on contestations that are there between US and China, they are, of course, something that media keeps on referring to. We see these spillover effects in our trade and production value chains, disruption in value chains. But I think for the Global South and for a platform like this, probably as the agenda very clearly shows, the interconnections that are there in design and production architecture, they are extremely important. If we have to see rise of China and rise of production processes that have come up in China, we need to see what kind of product designing is happening. And that product designing is something that the larger Global South has yet to pick up. And this, I think, is something where the interdisciplinary convergence is important in realm of innovation system. And that, I think, is something which is going to go forward, both in terms of how we look at the question of incubators that are there, the rise that is needed in terms of the financing for that, but also in terms of how that can actually be addressed in terms of the Global South's participation in the value chains that we are talking of. We also heard of the SDG, and Honorable Finance Minister alluded to that. I think right from the G20 presidency of Japan, the push is there for STI for SDG, Science, Technology, Innovation for Sustainable Development Goals. How do we bring in STI? And if we just pick up 4 goals, the goal 2, which is about nutrition, goal 3, which is health, goal 6, which is about clean water, and goal 7, which is about renewable energy. Only in these 4 goals, we have enough scope to intervene and bring in the dimensions that are important for development requirements of the larger South, where imports have multiplied. And from that perspective, I think it is pertinent for us to see how within the contestations and innovation that is driven more by techno-nationalism can be adequately addressed. And that's where the global public goods that are important for us to achieve SDG are needed. And if we bring in Global South this larger connect, we can bring in the issues which are of key significance when it comes to their role. And this is something important, as the recent UNCTAD report shows. Almost 10 countries account for something like 85% of the total R&D expenditure. And this requires greater role by the Global South to be part of this R&D system. And that would not happen unless we bring in the product design modules that are needed for us to engage. And from that perspective, I think it is important for innovation and innovation-related dimensions to come in, as Professor Kyon Lee talked about the idea of catching up, or Hajun Chang talking about kicking away the ladder. We need to see in what way Global South can really specialize in product design and get onto the task of product development, which are not imitations, which are not important only in terms of leapfrogging that they may bring in, but actually nurturing the innovation system that we all are looking at. At the G20 presidency of India, 3 important efforts have been made, and I think they are pertinent to be mentioned here, because that's how we at the Global South should be looking at in terms of the new R&D collaboration. The first and foremost is in terms of what I just mentioned of the global public goods, the digital public infrastructure that is needed, and the digital public goods. So both DPG and DPI, both have been talked, and fortunately G20 countries all have agreed to strengthen this, which I think is important for all the countries to move forward in terms of the R&D structure. The second, which is, I think, equally important, is in terms of climate change and the convergence technologies that are needed for just green transition. And there the agreement is in terms of how such technologies can be shared, co-produced, and co-evolved. And that dimension, I think, is something which across various COPs we have been discussing. The G20 declaration, Delhi Declaration, has explicitly mentioned this accomplishment. The third and foremost, I think, is in terms of gender-sensitive technologies. And that's where, when we talk about women-led economic development, some focus on these technologies is going to play an extremely important role as we are looking at our engagement. The other dimension, which I think important here, is in terms of the high-tech connect that the Global South requires. And this is something which has been discussed at several different points. Several studies have already come in terms of how the share of the Global South is rising. I think if we look at the patent profiles that are there, both in medical biotechnology and also in solar technology, we find a huge shift that is happening. And that's where I think the dimensions that are of significance in terms of Global South's entrepreneurship-led contributing to these high-tech areas, that probably would be extremely important in terms of how that is going to go forward. Here, what we also did at RIS was to decipher the data for China from the Global South, because very often when we talk about Global South, it is the statistics from China that dominates. And this we did in terms of identifying the rest of the Global South from the statistics that was available. And our finding was quite interesting in terms of the share in high-tech trade. And if you go by OECD classification, we also amended the OECD classification for high-tech, medium-tech, and low-tech trade on the HS trade classification. We brought in some elements of Sanjay Lal's classification and amended that. We find that if we remove China, the share of the Global South in the high-tech trade actually has gone up from 17% to 31%. And this is something which is extremely encouraging in terms of how the Global South share has expanded. And this, if you juxtapose over G7's share, we find that G7 share, which was almost 80% in 1985, it has now come down drastically, which is something which shows not only rise of the Global South, but the manufacturing value added within G7 that has come down. So both of these trends that are coming up require us to see what kind of institutional intervention is needed by states like Kerala, but also by other emerging economies where regional innovation system is being studied and being looked into. Before I close, I also want to very quickly mention in terms of how the role of innovation system that is intertwining with the traditional knowledge base. Sometimes the two streams have gone on two different tracks, right from the debates on Convention on Biological Diversity, CBD, started. The parallel track on traditional knowledge system came in, and incidentally, many years ago, I worked here, Honorable Minister, in Kerala with Kani tribes on the access and benefit sharing, and eventually India's case was taken forward at WTO, and we adopted the access and benefit sharing regime that came up in form of Nagoya Protocol. But these two tracks have gone forward. Fortunately, the technological interventions in biotech now are bringing the two elements together. More efforts in terms of validating traditional knowledge system based on high-tech innovation systems, and a new stream that combines the two technological flows to conceptual flows, and their products probably would require a set of innovation system analysis that we need to see in terms of formal and informal knowledge base and their documentation. As all of us have been expecting, and I was also expecting when the Nobel Prizes are announced, I hope the Nobel Prize Committee would realize this very important knowledge stream of our work, and I'm sure some prize would come in to this stream and some recognition at the global level that innovation work requires. But I must congratulate Globelics and each member of the community for the excellent work that is being taken forward. Thank you.
A sincere thank you for being with us today and for delivering an impactful address, sir. We feel privileged to invite the distinguished Professor Rishikesha T. Krishnan, Director of IIM Bangalore, to share his thoughts at this esteemed gathering.
Yeah, Honorable Minister, Professor Joseph, Professor Chaturvedi, ladies and gentlemen. First, it's a real pleasure for me to be here with all of you today. And I was particularly happy when Joseph invited us to participate as one of the partners in organizing this conference. As was mentioned by Joseph in his introduction, I had the privilege, though somewhat by accident, of attending the first Globelics conference 20 years ago. I want to just give you a little historical perspective and then just build on that to make a few points that I would like to underline. When I was a doctoral student in the 90s, that's the first time I came across this whole idea of innovation systems. A professor at IIM Ahmedabad, where I did my PhD, he loaned me the book on national innovation systems, which was edited by Richard Nelson. And that's the first time I really came across this concept. But one thing which really struck me when I read that book was there was no chapter on India. So that really concerned me. I thought, look, there's this whole global economy. There are all these different countries whose systems of innovation have been studied, but there's no chapter on India in this book. So that was a very important trigger for my subsequent work, because that sort of motivated me to say, well, if nobody else is going to write that chapter, then I should try to write that chapter. And that was the sort of starting point for whatever work I have done on innovation systems over the years. And in fact, the first sort of concrete effort I made at writing that chapter was the paper I submitted to Globelics in 2003. So it was an important landmark, at least in my evolution as a scholar. And it enabled me to sort of apply the overall systems of innovation perspective to look at the Indian economy. What's happened since then is also interesting. And I think different speakers here today have alluded to that at different points. At the time when I wrote this paper in 2003, with the way we were looking at innovation in India was very science and R&D specific. It was largely centered on R&D institutions, which at that time were largely run by the government. So the focus was on what is the R&D investment being driven by the government through government R&D institutions. But if you look at the last 20 years, things in India have also changed quite a bit. One thing is that today the study of innovation, or at least the importance of innovation being recognized, has become much more commonplace. So in fact, if you look at this Global Innovation Index, which is brought out by WIPO and others, while many of us scholars may have our own views on the quality of that index or its utility, the fact is that's become a part of the common discourse today. So every year when the Global Innovation Index rankings are announced, there's some effort to try and understand in India why we have done better or worse, as the case may be. So that just gives you one indicator of how there is a greater recognition of the importance of innovation in driving our national economy. The second important thing that's happened over time is that while the importance of R&D and S&T-led innovation is still there, it's also now much more widely recognized that innovation has to go into addressing a lot of the social and economic and political and other challenges which the country as a whole faces. And this has partly been driven by the interest in frugal innovation and other streams of innovation which have looked at how do you move away from the purely S&T and R&D driven innovation approach to looking at how you can use the existing resources that you have to do innovation without necessarily doing it in a very formal R&D driven kind of way. So that's, I think, another realization that has been quite important, and that has resulted in innovation becoming much more mainstream, at least in India. The third important driver that's really changed the way we look at innovation in India, and I think has finally brought home the importance of the systems perspective, is the whole startup movement. So in India, we have seen a significant growth of startups over the last 7 or 8 years, at least from 2014-15 onwards. And almost every state now has a startup policy. And as part of that startup policy, now they're also looking at how can we improve the supporting conditions for startups, which has led all the governments also to now realize that there's more to it than just looking at the startup as an entity. You also have to start looking at its connections with other players in the economy. So this is an important development because this has finally, in a way, in an indirect way, in my view, brought home the importance of a systems perspective to policymakers in India, both at the national and the state level. As a result, today you have not only startup policies, but as the Honorable Minister was mentioning, this also had a sort of reverse effect of going back and looking at R&D and S&T. Because like Kerala has a R&D budget, the state where I am in Karnataka, they now have an R&D and science and technology policy, which they didn't have for all these years. So I think an important step now is realizing that even state governments, which earlier were not involved really in a big way in understanding all the interconnections in the innovation system, are now trying to understand that and trying to bring in policies to drive innovation in their respective regions, which again brings us to regional systems of innovation and other concepts which we have been speaking about in Globelics and other forums for many years. So just if you just look back at the last 20 years, I think then as Globelics has gone from strength to strength, in a way, innovation thinking in India has also, evolved. So I'm really happy that in this, the 20th anniversary of Globelics, we are now back in India. After of course, from the last Kerala conference, it's not quite 20 years, I think it's 17 years, but still it's just fitting that we are back here in Thiruvananthapuram for this conference. And I'm hoping in the discussions in the next 3 days, we'll be able to dwell on some of the points, I think excellent points made by all the speakers, including the Honorable Chief Minister, the Honorable Finance Minister, by Erika, by Sachin and others. So I think we've got several dimensions to look at. And I'm just hoping that a lot of this can feed into some of the discussions and debates that are happening in India at a broader level on how to drive innovation, not only for economic growth, but also for social good. Thank you.
We're deeply grateful for your presence and insightful thoughts, sir. Lastly, we earnestly invite Dr. Kiran Kumar Kakarlapudi, Assistant Professor of GIFT, to deliver the vote of thanks as we near the completion of this inaugural function.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to the 20th Anniversary Globelics International Conference. It is truly an honor and privilege to stand before you today to extend a heartfelt vote of thanks on behalf of the Globelics Secretariat. Firstly, we are deeply grateful to Sri Pinarayi Vijayan, Honorable Chief Minister of Kerala, for taking time out to be with us to inaugurate the conference and for your unwavering commitment to fostering knowledge-driven inclusive development in our region. Our sincere thanks to Sri K.N. Balagopal, the Honorable Finance Minister of Government of Kerala and the Chairman of GIFT for the unconditional support to GIFT and for presiding over this event as the chairperson and also brilliantly summarizing the initiatives that Kerala has been taking over to push the agenda of knowledge economy. Your support and leadership have played a pivotal role in making this event a reality. We thank Professor V.K. Ramachandran, Vice Chairman of Kerala State Planning Board, for joining us for the event and sharing your reflections. We thank Professor Erika Krimer-Embula, the President of Globelics, for your support in organizing this conference. Your remarks have set the stage for the conference. We would like to thank Professor Sachin Chaturvedi for making it to the conference despite a very tight schedule. Your commitment to making this conference a reality cannot be thanked enough. And also your reflections on how India is positioned to take on the opportunities that we have in front of us are truly enlightening. We would like to thank Professor Rishikesha T. Krishnan for joining us for the conference and extending support in every possible way. We take this opportunity to thank a very dynamic GSP Globelics Scientific Board members for their constant and timely support in organizing this conference. We profoundly thank Professor Yuan Zhou, who has been brilliant in managing the entire review process, and all the reviewers who have reviewed the papers and submitted their reviews on time. We would like to thank our local organizers, KDISC and Digital University of Kerala, for their support in organizing this event. We would like to thank our gratitude to the conference partners, Kerala State Higher Education Council, Indian Council for Social Science Research, Center for Development Studies, Kerala Economic Association, Center for Latin American Studies, University of Kerala, who have contributed to the success of this conference. Your dedication and hard work have made this event possible. We would like to thank the participants who have traveled from different parts of the world to attend this conference and those who join us online. We would like to thank the organizing team who has worked tirelessly for weeks to ensure smooth logistics for this conference. A special word of appreciation for our GIFT PhD scholars who ensured everyone is picked up from the airports and transported safely to the hotels and brought them here in this auditorium. We would like to thank Professor Bentoke Lundwall, the founder of Globelics, and Professor T.M. Thomas Isaac, former Finance Minister of Kerala, and Distinguished Fellow GIFT for speaking in the inaugural session. Our sincere thanks to Professor Luxote, the founding member of Globelics, and Professor Judith Sutz, the former president of Globelics, for chairing the opening session. Last but not the least, we would like to thank Professor K.J. Joseph, Secretary General Globelics and Director GIFT, for taking the initiative to bring back Globelics in India after 17 years and continuously supporting to make this conference a great success. We wish you have a wonderful and intellectually stimulating discussions, both inside the session, inside the lecture halls, as well as outside the lecture halls. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's now time for a coffee break. Delightful refreshments await your presence just outside the auditorium. Thank you.
Yeah, we are all welcome for a 15 minutes break. And I thought Kiran Kumar is the right person to say out of thanks because I could not thank him enough.
Thank you, sir.